As with any evolutionary process, school works. It is not optimal at what it does, but it does work for its purpose. I think the education system focuses on churning out a generation of citizens who are capable of doing the 3 R's, which would be reading, writing, and arithmetic. I think that's the primary focus of education, is to do that.
Okay, to me the education system is basically to help the maturation process more than anything. Now that we're not specified, we don't need to take jobs necessarily. We don't have farms. We don't have to send our kids to the farms. What do you do with these guys, right? So now we can. They hummed and hawed, I think, for several years. They thought, okay, we'll give them a general education, and then university is supposed to train them to specific jobs. So it seems like every step is training you for the next step, you know. But it seems that we're generalizing more and more. So now that when you get a degree from a university that helps you work at Starbucks, that doesn't really necessarily focus you towards a career choice. So it'll be interesting to see. I still think it's a good job, or I mean it's a good lifestyle, so that you mature, you learn a little bit about the world. But I think sometimes the education system now is simply to babysit kids until they get an age that they can leave home. But I don't know.
I think ideally, we've never really lost the idea that education is something that trains the mind, and it is something that I guess is part of the process of civilization, and it's actually not necessarily connected to work. So I don't think it's as simple as saying that education is just a matter of training someone for a job, and if you're no longer getting a job when you finish your education, then education is useless.
So I think that the premise of education is a good thing, that everybody should have the right to an education. But I think that we have come to a place in our lives in this current time where we are spending a lot of time focusing on achievement and on the success of people, and the way that we assess that is based on grades. You know, and I'm not sure that that's always fair, and I think that that assessment and evaluation of the student sometimes is a really narrow focus, and it needs to be broadened.
I think that our education system focuses on more facts and less imagination.
Since the curriculum, you have to take all these different subjects, it gives you like a basic level of understanding, and you can decide what you want to go into in the future.
The current state of our education system functions by judging a student's intellectual capability through things such as standardized testing. This act promotes the idea of both singling out students and the concept of lateral thinking. The loss of our creativity has become a common side effect of the education system, and thus many never come to realize the importance of it. The core idea of our current education system is for students to learn, but lately there has been a constant increase of emphasis in which we place on grades, and thus gives students the illusion that grades are more important than the actual learning.
I think so much of the evaluation at school centers on that GPA, and then again the universities I want to say enhance, that's not the right word, but they amplify the importance of the GPA, whether you get in or not. And so it leads to this conundrum where kids put so much pressure on themselves to get these incredible GPAs so they can get into where they want to go, but yet when they're out of that school, their grades don't matter anymore. What matters is there's still the competition, but what matters is, are you good at this job?
The GPA is not a reflection of what they are capable of doing or what they have accomplished.
When you get tested, it just means on that particular day, at that particular time, on the particular subject matter that your teacher taught you, you got a particular score. It means nothing else except that little tiny piece of time that they're measuring on that little tiny piece of subject, that's what you scored on.
Me personally, I have struggled with the schooling system for a very long time in my life because I fundamentally disagree with pretty much everything that happens inside a classroom. Let's take individual assessment, for instance. We all know that creative collaboration is the predecessor of all of our greatest achievements in humankind. I mean, whether you take it explicitly as group work or in the sense that an individual builds upon the work of his predecessors, the bottom line is people work together to achieve great things. And this is something that we don't really learn in school. I mean, we have group projects and all that, but at the end of the day, you get a report card with your name on it and what an instructor has, a very inaccurate representation of an individual's work and prowess in a classroom.
Maybe somehow, I'm not sure how, but the education system could somehow...
Choices from a young age, right?
No,
Oh.
but...
Okay, go.
like somehow put less emphasis on grades and like numbers.
Yeah,
Less
maybe there could
emphasis
be
on
maybe there
numbers,
could be
I
another
think.
like grading system.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
And I understand that'd be difficult
Yeah.
to change, but I think if they found like some studies or like some research
Something that
found,
works better,
yeah,
like-
that would help because right now if you think about it, especially I don't know if, well, like I said, I only know Crofton, but at Crofton people cared so much about the numbers. Like if you got an essay back, the first thing you look at is the numbers, and some people don't even read the comments that the teachers write, which is where that's most important because that's where you can improve your writing or whatever, right?
My other issue with the education system is how people look at it. And this is strictly related to post-secondary institutions. A lot of people treat post-secondary educations as centers for vocational training, meaning that you basically go there and when you leave, you're more prepared and you have the skills necessary to take on whatever job or career path you so choose. That's not really the case. An individual that passes through the higher education system will come out being best at teaching whatever they majored or minored in. That's really it. I mean, it's really stupid for individuals. I shouldn't say stupid. It's a bit of a falsehood for people to think that simply by going to university and getting good grades and the golden path that people choose, that people advocate, that you'll end up with a successful career and you'll be able to do what you can do. The fact is, a lot of knowledge that we require for modern life, for surviving in the modern world, is tacit knowledge, meaning that we have to learn by doing it. And this is something that we can't really do in a classroom, which focuses mainly on theorizing and not so much the application of such theories.
Some of the best ways to actually learn about the world is through experiential learning. And so I think that if we can kind of continue to work towards having each student learning how to learn, but also learning how they learn best.
Once you're being forced to do stuff, then it makes it less appealing.
Over justification effect.
It requires a passion to drive the thirst for knowledge, and we're seriously lacking that in today's population of students, I would think.
It's like if you do something because you like it, you're intrinsically motivated, and then you do it just because you like it. But then once extrinsic motivation is applied to the same thing that you once liked, you lose intrinsic.
One of the things that does inhibit learning is this sort of Marx focus. I think it actually actively inhibits learning rather than promotes learning. Students will do what they have to do to get a grade, they're not necessarily really mastering and learning in the process. They're just jumping through a bunch of hoops. And so that's one of the things that I think actually inhibits learning.
Mark Twain once remarked that he would never let his education interfere with his schooling. And I think this is an important point to take away because, quite frankly, we never stop being students. We are constantly learning. You know, well past our graduation ceremonies and all our diplomas, we're still learning every day. And this fundamental principle suggests that our capacities to learn, in order for them to be fully exercised, we need to explore all different kinds of avenues of learning. You know, we need to face all different kinds of problems and in learning how to deal with them. And I don't really think that school offers that kind of environment.
See, the exciting thing is you never stop learning. And all that a teacher can do is to light the fire. The fire never starts as a big fire. It starts as a very small fire. And with some students, that's as far as we get. We just get a small fire. A small fire is good because you can stand close to it and stay warm. A big fire, you can't stand next to it, right? Sometimes we give so many facts and so much information that you don't feel comfortable standing next to it. You can't share with the person next to you.
I think in order to make these adaptations, it would take a very long time, and it would need to fundamentally break down the main premises of the schooling system in order to make it more flexible to change. And it's unlikely we'll see that happening anytime soon because, as I said, it works. And for everyone who's complaining that it doesn't work, there's probably 9 other people that say that it does. So it's unlikely that we'll see any type of serious reform of the schooling system anytime soon. So that's basically my spiel.
I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. I ain't happy. I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on.